And let's just do a quick audio check. Joan, if you could let me know that the audio is clear, please.
The audio sounds great on our end. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, welcome everyone to the 2014 Virtual Business Solutions Summit, Internet-Based Business Solutions for a New Tomorrow. Before we begin, let's talk about a few technology topics real quickly. If you cannot hear but you're seeing this slide, then you can adjust your setting of your audio in the system tray on your audio icon at the bottom of your computer screen to turn the audio on or up. And you will see a webinar console over to the right-hand side of your screen, and you can minimize that to get it out of the way so you can fully see the speaker slides. And you do so by clicking on the orange box with the white arrow. That will move it over to the right. And then when you want to open it back up to communicate it with us, then you do the same thing. Just click on that orange box. If for any reason it disappears and you don't see it collapsed over to the right-hand side, then look at the bottom of your computer screen, the system tray. You'll see a blue flower. If you click on that, it will bring it back up. And you don't need to click on that blue flower unless the console disappears. And just one second, we've got someone who's become unmuted there. All righty, squared away. And for Q&A, you will use that console box, and you can submit your questions at any time. And you just see the word question with the plus sign to the left of it. When you click on that plus sign, it will open it up. Some of you may have one where it is already open, and you just type in your questions. We'll see them and present them to the speakers on your behalf. If you get disconnected or have other issues, then you can simply log right back in. And if you want to communicate by way of social media or email or otherwise with anyone else to still join us, they can do so at brevardinnovation.com/summit/. My name is Marcia Elder. I am the moderator for the event as well as the event manager. And our summit host is Brevard County, Florida. Mel Scott is the assistant county manager and had very much wanted to be with us today. He has been called away at this moment to a commitment that he had to be at, but wanted to express his strong support as well as welcome to all of you here, and the county's valuing of local business and the role of local business in creating a strong and vibrant economy. The program purpose is to provide timely resources and support to local businesses for a strong economy and community, to foster job creation and economic stimulus through expansion of and improvements to existing businesses as well as the creation of new businesses, and to enhance quality of life through economic vitality. And of course, all those things apply to communities throughout Florida as well as other states, and we do have people from all around participating in the program today. We are hearing someone unmuted. We are showing everyone as muted, so let me just see what is happening there. You can bear with me for just a moment. Everyone is showing as muted. If that is one of our on-site locations, if you could please mute yourselves because noise is coming through there, and now it has stopped, so hopefully that won't continue. And let me go back up. All righty. So again, we have folks from many different organizations and locations attending today, and we welcome everyone. Also would like to thank the project partners and supporters. First, the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity, as well as CareerSource Brevard, which is formerly under the name of Brevard Workforce. GROW-FL, the Economic Gardening Institute located at the University of Central Florida, the Women's Business Center at the Florida Institute of Technology, the City of Cocoa, the Titusville Chamber, the City of Titusville, and other promoters and supporters that we are so delighted have been working with us, Craig Technologies and Carol Craig, and I know Vicki Northrup is here from the Greater Palm Bay Chamber of Commerce. She's president and CEO there, and others who have been supporting this event. Laura Kennedy with City of Titusville, she's Director of Economic Development, and Marcia Getke with the Titusville Chamber and others. And you will meet Joan Yunkala in just a little bit when we go to the first segment of Q&A, and she is the Economic Development Manager with the City of Cocoa. This is a simulcast event, meaning that it is taking place online as well as on site at 2 physical locations, and those include the Florida Institute of Technology and the City of Cocoa Beach. So we have a number of folks there who are listening in and watching, and then we will have the Grow FL presenters actually be at the Florida Institute of Technology for this afternoon's workshop. A couple of bonuses for participants. You heard about this in the promotions, and the link is there on the website. If you have not yet signed up to win a $3,500 scholarship from Career Source Brevard to work with Grow FL on a strategic research engagement, then go to that link, brevardinnovation.com/summit/, and there is still time and will be up until the afternoon session. And also at brevard.growfl.com is the packet for this afternoon. They will remind everyone of that, but if you want to get a head start, we received this this morning that all of these materials are posted, that they will be showing and using this afternoon. And then we have some additional resources at brevardinnovation.com/summit-resources, and there will be some others posted there as well. For those who did not see the agenda on the website, we are about to conclude the introductions and turn to the presenters, and we have 3 segments there for the morning. The virtual landscape, including a number of high-impact tools and strategies for today's businesses, and then social, local, mobile, some essential communications and marketing know-how for entrepreneurs, and then cutting-edge business and economic development, including opportunities for advancing businesses through technology uses, social media, and online marketing. So we have a lot in store for you this morning, and we are getting a little bit of feedback there. I'm going to go ahead and do that mute again. It came unmuted, and give just 1 second here, please. All righty. Then the afternoon session is a workshop with Grow FL, the Economic Gardening Institute, and that's 1:30 to 4 p.m. on a number of different strategies for growing from within, and helping focus on strategic growth challenges, developing new markets, refining business models, gaining access to competitive intelligence, and a number of other economic gardening topics. So the first presentation, I'm pleased to be presenting that to you on the virtual landscape, high-impact tools and strategies for today's businesses, and we'll then turn to our other presenters. And my name again is Marcia Elder. I am with CPI Consulting and the Virtual Solutions Center. And just making sure that we're getting a little background noise there, that everyone is muted. And in the way of an introduction, and I'll introduce each of our upcoming speakers, the CPI is a multidisciplinary consulting firm located in the Tallahassee area in Florida. We are new media technologies and online event experts, strategic communication pros, have subject matter specialties in various fields, long-time training and education and marketing specialties, For me, I was a trainer for Anthony Robbins or Tony Robbins events for 10 years and a former senior state of Florida official and have a graduate degree in engineering. And for CPI Consulting, we've been in business for over 29 years and focus on excellence in service in the areas that you see over to the right-hand side and various other professional services. And we've been leaders in the virtual environment since 2005 through virtual events and other strategic uses of online technologies. And you can find out more at those websites, webeventexperts.com, thevirtualsolutioncenter.com, and technology.com. So speaking of technology, that really is the theme for our event, and rapidly and radically changing the world in which we live is what we're seeing from technology in communications, business and commerce, marketing, education, healthcare, environment, at the community level, the economy, and all aspects of modern living. Entrepreneur magazine defines information technology as encompassing all forms of technology used to create, store, exchange, and utilize information in its various forms, whether from the standpoint of businesses, whether it's business data or conversations, images, motion pictures, multimedia presentations, or other information. And the technology options that we have today, are just amazing because the tools, strategies, and opportunities are growing at just an explosive rate. And it's very important to note that businesses that fail to get and stay informed about technology and engaged in using technology really risk losing vital business or not staying in business at all. And that's a true fact you might not have been able to say a few years ago, but we can all see the handwriting on the wall in terms of how fast things are moving and how many tools are coming down. And unfortunately, the options are so many and the technology landscape is moving so fast that keeping up is a real challenge, and many people are intimidated by that. But we really need to stay on top of it in order to keep our businesses strong and grow them for the future. And there are compelling reasons to do just that. Technology enables us to be more effective, to save time, to be efficient, to get more accomplished, to be resource efficient, expand our reach to new audiences, to have a greater impact, to really experience less stress and overwhelm, even though we can be overwhelmed by the extent of technology, but it can do so much for us that is on the positive side. So that's a great thing too, to improve the quality of our services and products, to connect with others and more people around the globe, to move others to action, to save or make money, to be more fulfilled, to get faster results, to reduce pollution and be green and cut travel and travel impacts, to be more secure through the security features of technology, and to create desired end results. That's the bottom line of it all, as well as showing leadership. So many great reasons, and also technology functions and uses are very many, including planning and organizing, communications, marketing, fundraising, sales, service delivery, customer support, public relations, education, in some cases advocacy, training, and in some cases certification, product and service development, which there are a number of neat things that can be done through information technologies, financial management, project management, operations management, evaluation and quality control, and technology support all of these and a whole lot more. The tools are also many and varied, from virtual events, social media, online meetings, digital publications, new generation style websites, online audio and video, web-based surveys, a real diversity of on-demand services, and interactive platforms and crowdsourcing and crowdfunding and all kinds of neat things, mobile devices, software and apps, and other varied devices and tools, plus many more ways to use technology, and more are on the way. So today, there's no way to cover in this short time all the different things and all of them in any detail, but we are going to try to cover some serious ground real quickly. I tend to talk fast. We will have a handout with some of this information for you as well, and tools and strategies for marketing, sales, service delivery, customer service, customer support, communications, and other business needs. So I've chosen a few of these areas to tell you some things about with websites, online meetings and events, software and apps, on-demand services, and social media. And I'm just going to touch very briefly on each of these, including social media. We will hear more from a renowned expert on social media very shortly. And again, see the link to the resource page under brevardinnovation.com/summit for the handout with more to come. So websites, a few things there. Well, first of all, websites are a foundational tool for visibility of your business and success of your business, as well as for technology involvement using audio and video, blogs, e-zines, social media, virtual tours, shopping carts, and other features that can be placed on a website and used very effectively. And your website can be custom designed and fancy, or it can be a template-based thing that you actually can do yourself. And most importantly is that your presence on the web is critical to your success as a business. So several key points here are, first, to commit to create and maintain your site or sites. We have a lot of different websites for different purposes, and you can have them on specific themes as well as in addition to your main website. But it's amazing when we find the number of businesses, especially small businesses, that don't even have a website, and that's a big mistake. Now, of course, you can also use social media, but having a website gives you some added advantages that are real important. And you can have low-cost, do-it-yourself sites, or professionally done, more advanced or elaborate sites. But on the low-cost, do-it-yourself side, WordPress, GoDaddy, Bluehost are some examples. And I'll be giving a few examples of vendors and products, which are not an endorsement, but just giving you some things to look at as possibilities. And the hybrid aspect is that you can either do some of these totally on your own, or you can have help in setting them up and training you how to do them and how to keep up with them. And the design of your site is very important in its appearance, its user friendliness, the functionality of it in order to be effective for your outcomes. An example of a product there is browsershots.org, where you can see how your site looks in more than 50 different browsers on 3 different types of operating systems. And this is free downloadable software. So because you do look different depending upon how you're looking, where you're looking through. Content, your information, your message, any calls to action, which hopefully you have as businesses on your websites. And optimization, very important. And these topics we can get into in Q&A, but just want to give you kind of a snapshot of some very important considerations. And setting up for search engines to be able to find you, which is search engine optimization, so that your target audience finds you. And so the URL, your domain name, the header of your website, the keywords that are used within your website, linkages to social media, use of videos, all of these things help with optimization. And additional steps can be taken through traffic generation to send visitors to your site, whether you're putting your URLs in emails and articles and blogs, or like with us for event registration. We didn't send you the link to GoToMeeting because we wanted to send you to our website, because the more traffic we get, the better we do in our search engine rankings. So all of those things are strategic considerations. Also having an opt-in box where you're capturing email addresses of visitors to your site so that you can have follow-up business with them. And this is something that is used for automatic compilation of data and can be a very helpful tool. And give me 1 second, had to check something there real quickly. And a few more things, e-commerce, obviously for businesses, so using tools to equip your site for the sale of goods and services. Here's an example, it's called Shopify or Shopify.com. That is a way to simply set up an online store. There are a number of others. Google Analytics, or the use of analytics, is really key, and one expert refers to it as the eyes and ears of your website. This is free through Google and automatically collects data to help you better understand and serve your customers. You know who's coming there, what they're doing while they're there, where they're from, and data that can help you evaluate how you're doing business-wise. And there are also fee-based services that have a variety of features as well. So that's websites, and we're going to quickly go to meetings and events. And online meetings can be the next best thing to being there, or even better. It's faster for people, no travel involved. You can have impromptu meetings and facilitated meetings to get even more done. And so that's one tool in that environment. And there also are a variety of options for online events, whether it's webinars or webcasts, telewebcasts using phone as well, telesummits, Google Hangouts, which is free, simulcasts, such as we're doing today, videocasts, virtual conferences. For instance, we've done multi-day virtual conferences where you have 2 or 3 days worth of nonstop speakers throughout the day. And a couple of examples as real-world case study, green lodging webinars. This is something that we did for hotels throughout Florida on education and technical assistance on ways to be green and to be green certified by the state. This program is sponsored by the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. There are on-demand replays as well for those who miss a program, and these are things that you can do through your business too. And then creation of a specialty website plus social media for promoting this particular program. And Internet Technologies is a green hotel tool as well. Telewebcast example, this is the Global Association of Small Practice Professionals from a 2009 event where they held a 10-day national webcast series with 22 sessions and lots of speakers. I was one of those speakers for a 30-minute interview and then was asked to do a 40-minute live business makeover where they introduced a business, and my role was to hear what the challenges of that business were and do some coaching live with them on how they could improve their business. And so we used technology for this program, but it was focused on business coaching. So combining technology, communications, and specific types of services can be very effective. And then as a third example, this was a national telesummit. Last year we had, this was for one of the nation's top internet marketing experts and had 7 major national speakers with 1,800 registrations, and some of the roles involved in making that event happen are noted there. And I wanted to call attention to the one in the middle, in particular, affiliate sales, where you can host an event and then have products that are sold at that event, and then the host of the event shares in the profits from the sales that happen through their event. So those of you who have products for sale, that might be something that you would be interested in doing through an online event as well. Moving on to the topic of software and apps, and I know I'm talking very quickly. Again, we'll have Q&A in a little bit and also have some material for you on the website. But here's another product example, Track Maven, which is an app that streamlines your ability to monitor your competition as a business. EchoSign is an Adobe app that allows for electronic signatures, like if you're doing contracts and such, and then it keeps information recorded for you for automatic audit trails. FedEx has a helpful app that easily sends files and documents and photos to the nearest FedEx location where they can be printed out and made into presentations. It uploads files also to tools like Dropbox, Google Drive, and Box. So a few app examples there, and a few software examples, and there's so many in both of those categories. There's no way we can, cover even a fraction of them. But video and audio editing and production software, Sony and Movie Maker, Sony Vegas and SoundForge are examples there to where, you know, video is important on websites and people relate to it, and it also helps with search engine optimization. Software for graphics and images, which really pump up your websites and your newsletters, your PowerPoint programs, your videos, and videos that can be made from slides as well. And security, we always like to mention this because it's so vital for protecting your resources that are so valuable for you: information, your reputation, your identity, and your equipment. Moving on to on-demand services, again, there are so many of these out there now. SurveyMonkey is one example. That's an online survey tool so that you can gather feedback and gather data on services, products, issues, projects, and events. It's very reasonably priced. Anywhere Storage is an online storage tool where you can get a sizable amount of space for files that you can then access whenever and wherever you are. And another type of example is creating and sharing presentations from a tool like SlideShare, where you're using PowerPoint slide and a player, or multimedia timeline tools like OneTrueMedia. And Snagit is a great one for about $50. It's a utility tool that can help you capture screenshots, but not just that, but you can also write and draw on them to bring emphasis to things that you might want to show on your website or show in a presentation. Watch That Page is a free service that can help you monitor web pages where you particularly are tracking certain types of information and you want to know when that information has been added. Jing.com is a great tool for creating short videos, 5 minutes or less, online for online use. Dropbox, I mentioned a moment ago, an online tool that lets you edit, access, and share your documents and photos on the go. This is a great tool for those who are doing conferencing online. It syncs the tools like Skype and Google Hangout for voice conferences and online meetings like with GoToMeeting, with WebEx, with Apple FaceTime, and Skype. And it automatically routes calls through the least expensive dial-in order to save you money. Zendesk is an online customer service solution that helps you meet client needs quickly and efficiently. Pocket is another one at getpocket.com, where let's say you're on Twitter and you're seeing these links and you're interested in them, but you don't have time to deal with it right now. You can pop it into Pocket, save it, and then look at them when you do have time. And then they are stored there, so you don't have have to have an internet connection in order to access that data, because it automatically goes there. So those are a few examples there. And going quickly to social media, obviously a crucial tool for today's businesses, things like YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram. And YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, so that's real significant information, folks, because if you get your YouTube videos up, people can find you, your businesses, your products, your services much more easily with your having that online presence. And it does require informed strategic use in order for your social media work to be fruitful and not counterproductive, like wasting time and money, where people are spending a lot of time on there but they don't know exactly what they're doing, and so they're not necessarily getting the result that they hope for. Or they may create a negative impression in certain ways, like posting on other people's sites and getting people mad at you, or getting labeled as spam, and even getting your account suspended without warning. So you do need to know what you're doing. Also important is monitoring and measuring your social media efforts. So again, you're getting the results that you want. And two things there: conversion is a significant metric to track, and it's referred to as the number of visitors who take or complete a desired action that you've called for or promoted through your social media. So you want to convert that to results from the effort that you put into your social media, and also your return on investment, where your goal is to determine how much you're putting into it, money, staff time, and what payoff are you getting for your social media investment. And you'll hear some more in these regards in a moment. So we have scratched the surface. The goal was to provide you with a menu and to let you know that it is expansive and growing, and it is in terms of the tools as well as ways to put them at work for your business. Strategy in their uses is key, in addition to understanding the tools and using them properly, but using them strategically is very important. Communication skills play a big role with a number of the tools, and so we'll be happy to answer questions on these and other technology options after the next presentation segment. We'll do a Q&A of our first 3 speakers and then have our next 2 speakers and do another Q&A before noon. So I hope that this was helpful information for you. Feel free to contact us if you would like additional information. And at this point, we are delighted to turn to our next speaker. So if you can, I need to advance the slides for a moment. And if we can go ahead and have, I'm going to unmute Jake, and we're going to take just a second. I need to move these slides. Welcome, Jake. We'll introduce you in just a second. And Mark. Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. Give me just one second here. Changing the slides out, and then we'll turn the screen to you as well. So get the screen back up here. Okay. So Jake Wand is president and on the board of directors for Innovative Software Technologies, Inc., and they are based in Tampa, and he has worked in a variety of marketing and operational capacities in a number of startup and operating companies. Maybe you'll hear a little bit about that as he's speaking, and there is a lot more information on our website as well as his. But the bottom line, he's got vast knowledge in this field, in entertainment and also in the technology industries. And as part of that experience, that has resulted in his association with over 10 different startup companies. And his website is there. You'll see it again. And let me go ahead and turn the screen to, well, wait just one second. Let me do one other introduction and then turn the screen to both Jake and Mark. Mark Marchetta is Chief Marketing Officer for Innovative Software Technologies, and we're delighted to have him with us as well. And as he also is CEO of Maverick Interactive, Inc., also in Tampa, as a technology and creative services consulting firm, and they focus on bringing 21st century solutions and advanced marketing communication technologies to the mainstream. He also, this is not on the slide, but he has over 25 years experience in marketing, media production, communications, and strategies, and launched his career with a high-tech marketing company in computer and consumer electronics area with companies such as Sony, Sony Electronics, Canon, Intel, Apple, Hitachi, and Microsoft. And he joined an elite Microsoft team, and as part of his experience in working for them, he reported to Bill Gates and the executive board, and was instrumental in launching Microsoft's distribution footprint in North America as well as Latin America and parts of Europe. So we are just so delighted to have both gentlemen with us, and let me turn the presentation slides to you, and we see your screen, we see your video image there now, and so the slides have come to you if you hit the show my slide. So if you go ahead and hit show my screen, okay, great, we are seeing your screen.
Thank you, Marcia. Thanks for having us here.
Thank you.
So what I'd like to do is let's get started by talking about where we are today and where we're going in the state of one of the buzzwords over the last few years, SOLO-MO, and that stands for social, local, and mobile. The social, local, and mobile landscape, we really need to understand where we're going with this. It's very important and vital to small businesses, medium-sized businesses, in growing their customer base and growing their list of customers that do business with them on a daily basis. At this point, what I'd like to do is turn part of this presentation over to Mark Marchetta.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Appreciate it, Jake. Really, when we're talking about this landscape, we're talking about a whole shift, a paradigm shift in the way that businesses fundamentally think. Everything now is really based upon the social, local, and mobile space. So if you're not in that mindset, you're really missing out on an opportunity to build relevant content in creating community and touch points and really merging technology with really unique social capabilities that are really enabling technologies. So the question then becomes, is it real or just a catchphrase? Is social, local, mobile a reality? Well, convergence of these three technologies are really the center point of these online trends. In the social world, it's word of mouth, user-generated content, one-to-one, one-to-many touch points. On the local side, it's online research, it's online buying. It's really all about localizing your efforts from a marketing standpoint. So that's the entire shift in the business paradigm that needs to be adopted. The mobile internet is here to stay. Time, space continuums, all of those things really relate to one thing, that the triangulation of these three instances really focus on the next slide.
You know, is SOLO-MO Web 3.0 just time for a real shift in direction of the market? I mean, I like to think about, you know, everything being based around, if I'm searching for something on my mobile device, I'm in a town, I'm searching for a restaurant, you know, I want to search for something in my local surroundings, in my local area. So you know, I just flew into a city, which I travel a lot. I get on my mobile device and I say, you know, food in this local area, and that's what we really talk when we talk about social, local, and mobile. We're searching for something in something that's next to us, something that's in our local vicinity. And now with the way things are geo-targeted and geo-fenced, we have to be in that space. We have to be in that social, local, and mobile space if we're a small business or a medium-sized business that wants to reach our customers and wants to be, you know, more effective.
So now really the mindset really becomes get social, think mobile, and spin local. So the marriage between the consumer and the business becomes absolutely more engaged with relevancy, with consistency, with value-added messages in a variety of different channels. So that's where the paradigm is really flowing. So now you take a look at these different platforms. So some people call it cross-channel, some people call it omni-channel, some people call it, you know, cross-multi-channel. Some people call it a continuum of all of those things. But the whole thing is that all of these devices now have percolated into what we call now the digital delivery platform. So let's talk about simultaneous usage. You see that, you know, 36% TV, talking 16%, desktop 10, radio 7. All of these things now are merging and blurring the lines between these different channels, some of which are digital and some of which are physical and traditional. Stable segments prefer mobile to PC. Unequivocally, we all know that the trending is now absolutely in the mobile space. Over 100 million mobile internet users. More than 20 million people prefer smartphones and tablets to PCs. The PC era is pretty much in the dinosaur stages right now, and within the next couple of years that will become fossilized. So, you know, if we're not paying attention to how consumers, who are absolutely the ones that are now in control, you know, how do we communicate with them becomes the essence of all questions related to the social local mobile space.
And we can see this by just paying attention to, you know, let's talk a little bit about Apple. I mean, Apple, they get local and they get the social aspect. Quite frankly, when I travel with a tablet and my iPhone, and most people you'll find that's their quiver of technology now. They have a tablet and an iPhone, and you'll see that the mobile devices are becoming, you know, it's becoming a big part of what we do on a daily basis. So I think it's very important to reach out to where our consumers are, and we also have to realize that, you know, it doesn't really matter what type of business vertical you're in. You know, all business verticals need to be in this space. They need to be where their customers and consumers are. We have a little bit of technical difficulty. Hold on 1 second.
I went to sleep.
Hold on, please.
Hold on 1 second, please.
If your cursor is on the control panel, it will sometimes interrupt the slide progression. Okay, they have, okay, are they back?
Yes, we had a computer glitch. The computer's restarting. We apologize.
Oh, no problem. It just showed that you just went offline, but I see that you're here, or I hear that you're here. Thank you.
We could continue with the process. So we could really talk about now what the mindset really is. We know that the solo mobile space is now embedded in the consumer behavior, and it's going to stay here and continue. So really it becomes an absolute evolution of search. So, you know, the rise and discovery of local is now absolutely where it's at. So all marketing, all communications, all social are really tied to this continuum of digital marketing, digital presence, web monitoring, reputation monitoring, to really create a sense of community that resonates with the consumer and really sheds absolute, you know, quality business light on the business side. So again, you know, it's kind of interesting. So let's take a look at, here's a thought for you that I'd like to share with you, that if you're not competing for the future in solo mode, then you are by definition competing for irrelevancy. So the messaging here is, it's all about relevancy. It's all about one-to-one, one-to-many digital communications to really get the most out of your marketing dollars and your spend. You know, let's also talk about the success of social design. Social design really emanates from the success of social design is centered on your ability to create a highly engaged community focused on co-creation of your brand. So now with digital marketing, it really becomes an opportunity for you, the consumer and the business person, to extend your brand, to have it shine in a light that equals the playing field with companies that have a much larger pocketbook. So if you really stop and think about the solo mode space, it pretty much not only brings things down to the local level, it brings it down to the lowest common denominator, and small to medium-sized businesses have the opportunity to compete and beat some of the larger competitors in their space because of this enabling technology.
Let's talk about the social aspect. You know, a lot of people, it's a little confusing. I mean, we have the Facebooks and the Twitters and the YouTubes, and let's just talk a little bit about the social aspect. You know, it's very important as a small business or medium-sized business or any business in any industry to be out in that social space, because you'll find that your consumers and the people that you do business with are also in that space. So it's very important for us to push content on a daily and persistent basis. It's very important for us to have a consistent and relevant presence online into that social media space.
Right now, the efforts are really focused on getting listed, getting found, getting noticed, getting social, protecting and creating and cultivating your reputation. It's also about cultivating your absolute presence, your persona on the net. So all of these things are really a part of our focus here at Opt-in Smart. And you know, when we talk about understanding the space, we have spent, you know, probably the last decade building to a crescendo of, you know, some of the technologies that we create and some of the technologies that we feel are absolute technology innovation disruptors on a whole.
And you know, we also realize that part of the problem is it's you know, for the average business owner, we found over the last decade of research that two of the biggest fears for the small business owner has been technology and marketing. And now we find that those fears actually come together and make one. It's now a digital world, so now we have to market through technology. And we've basically hit this wall, and it's sometimes it's very confusing, and it's a confusing space to be in. And for us, it's about coming up with innovative technologies that make it very easy for the small to medium-sized business owner to excel at these practices in the solo mo world.
Okay. I'm going to just make one more statement, and then I would like to perhaps open it up for questions. And the statement goes like this: marketing is no longer about the things that you make or create. It really is about the stories that you tell and how you share it with your community. And digital marketing is that conveyor, if you would. So with that, we're going to close and start to perhaps answer some really unique questions from the audience.
We're still trying to get the messages.
You said you still are trying to get the visual?
Yes, we are.
If we can't get the visual, we might as well just go ahead and go to questions.
Okay, if you don't get the visual, then I'm going to go ahead and take the screen back. Did you have some other things that you wanted to show, or is it a Q&A visual?
At this point, I think we just want to go to Q&A without visuals, if at all possible.
Okay, very good. Give me 1 second here. And thank you for your remarks. And while we're transitioning here, the folks, we have a number of folks at FIT and then others on site at the City of Cocoa. And Joan is taking questions and coordinating questions from the Cocoa group. That's Joan Yunkala. And Beth Gitlin is coordinating the questions at the FIT group. So we will be ready to receive those. And while we're doing that, let me ask a question. You were just saying about marketing is no longer about just the product and service, but rather the stories that you tell and the connecting that is happening. Could you elaborate on that, like an example?
I could give you many examples, And what I want to really try to have resonate is that a product that is spawned in a local level or even a national level that is innovative, but there may not be a whole lot of money to spend on big-time ads and you know, Madison Street, Madison Avenue, you know, PR firms can still tell a story in a community sense that could have resonate, that could have go viral, that could have people do couponing for, that could, you know, really, you know, resonate and micro-segment a target of an audience, be it that of women, mothers, you know, elderly gentlemen, or what have you. So, you know, the 4 Ps become amplified by the ability to really, you know, target relevant content to your audience with absolute laser focus. And that's my point. My point is now, you know, the product can be mediocre, but the way that you spin your story about it, you know, it really helps resonate.
One of you also talked about how local businesses now have the opportunity to really compete with much larger businesses that are not even in the area. Can you talk a little bit more about that and any examples that you think would be revealing to people?
Well, what our company does here at Innovative Software Technologies, we are in that space to help the small to medium-sized business owner really understand how to compete in that space. One of our technologies is called Opt-in Smart, and we really focus on helping the small business compete at a larger level on a very on a more of a limited budget on a localized effort.
Yeah, basically what we have is we have created very disruptive technology that encompasses several modules that really help small to medium-sized business leverage everything from email to web presence to web application management and monitoring, and really leverages that whole dynamics of amplifying that social, local, mobile space down to a geography, a zip code level, or what have you. And the real battle now for wallet share and mind share and everything right now is focused on that local level. Who are your competitors? How can you out-market them? What technologies can you use that have a platform that is conducive to your wallet that can really help you gain market share, wallet share, and mind share? It's all about, you know, as I indicated, getting found, you know, getting listed, getting found, getting noticed, building community, building relationships, and it all translates ultimately into good branding, good communications that are relevant to your client base, and that's what's really important.
And Jake, you mentioned the importance of pushing the product daily, or pushing one's products and services daily into the social space. And can you talk about, like, maybe use an example of a client you've worked with or something that you do in that regard?
Well, I would be happy to. What we encourage our clients to do, and what we encourage, what our technology does is actually, we want to make sure that a business is pushing their content, meaning pushing their message via the social media channels, all the way from your Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Google+. We want to make sure that we're pushing content and relevant content on those sites on a daily basis. And the reason why we want to do that is we want to really get our message out, for one, as a small business or a medium-sized business, but we also want to make sure that we're pushing informational and relevant content. And that's one of the services that we do with our technology, is we push relevant content for the small business, and we actually create the content as well. And that's very important in today's world. I can't stress how important that is, to push content via all the social mediums out there.
Also, you mentioned the different social media tools. A lot of people feel overwhelmed by, attempting to keep up with a daily communication of that type, while doing everything else with their business. Can you say anything that would make them feel differently, or the priority of it?
Absolutely, Marcia. The emerging opportunity relative to technology and marketing have made it a little bit more difficult, I think, for small to medium-sized businesses to respond to the calling. Our technology enables us to help our small to medium-sized business partners. And really, we have a thing called Done For You. And Done For You is really broken down like this. It's broken down so that every small to medium-sized business that engages our organization has a project manager. And that project manager has a team, a cadre of advertising, marketing, SEO people that really help support their efforts on a weekly, daily, monthly, quarterly, and yearly basis. So really, it's all about communicating with that local business, finding out, do they want to offer specials? Do they want to offer couponing? Do they, let's take a look at their web presence and what needs, what directories need some encouragement from our staff in terms of helping the recognition of those and making certain that their web, their digital web presence has that consistency with the name, address, and phone number. Make certain that all of their social posts are posted correctly. So it's that whole dynamic of us offering an enabling technology that when people look at it, they go, that is really, really cool. But guess what? I don't have time to do it. Well, that's where our Done For You model is an absolutely day-by-day, absolutely affordable opportunity for small to medium-sized business to really level the playing field and really gain competitive advantage against people that are in their space in terms of buying for that wallet share, mind share, social share, all of those things through a set of communication tools and solutions and platforms that they have the ability to go into and look and actually see in a dashboard setting the incremental improvements on all of those areas previously discussed through a dashboard analysis scenario.
Very good. Thank you. I'm going to ask if FIT can mute their line. It is not letting me mute you now, and we've had a couple of people say that we're getting some static sound. Okay, now it has allowed me. So just to keep that in mind, and one more moment, please. Okay, someone just said, could you repeat the last thing that you said? And anything else that you want to say about the service? That's from the same person.
Our service is an affordable monthly fee. And I encourage all of the listeners and the viewers to take a look at optinsmart.com for some additional details and to see what our technology has done for small to medium-sized businesses, and take a look at some of the testimonials and videos that we have out there that really kind of speak to our technology. And if you have any questions or would like some additional information, in addition to looking at the website, optinsmart.com, feel free to go to 855-OPT-ME-IN, which is 855-678-6346 for additional information. But again, what we are offering is a cadre of modules, everything from email to text messaging, things that really employ that social, local, and mobile dynamics that really help enable small to medium-sized businesses to flourish from a revenue perspective through repeat visits, through, if you could get one person to come into your place once a month, that's wonderful. But if you could get them to come in a second time, that becomes exponential times all of your clients. And again, this technology is all about inbound. Marketing dynamics is now inbound. And when I say inbound, it's creating opportunities through text messaging, through QR codes, through a cadre of different technologies to get people to opt in so that you have a way to communicate one-to-one and one-to-many with them relative to your offers, relative to educating them, relative to being exposed to new products. That's where it's at right now. So take advantage. If you're a small to medium-sized business and you want to compete with some of the bigger boys, or you're interested in growing your market share, if you're interested in growing your revenue share, then take a look at this technology because it is so empowering that it'll blow you away. And it's the last thing I can share with you. It is so affordable that it would blow you away.
And if you could give the website one more time, please.
It is opt-in, O-P-T-I-N, smart, opt-in smart, SMART.com.
Okay, very good. And give me 1 second here. We've got things coming in from different places. We are going to go ahead and close out, but we have...
And Marcia, my last closing remarks is to thank you and thank the organization for everybody that listened this morning. And, Innovative Technologies is a part of a bigger group called INID, which is a small publicly traded company, currently being traded on the pink sheets. But, I would encourage everybody to follow us because you're going to see some really unique things coming and emanating from our organization. And thank you all again so much for your time.
Well, thank you so much, Jake and Mark, for being here. We very much appreciate it, and we will go ahead on to the next presenter, and perhaps you'll be able to stick with us, but we know you're very busy as well, so thanks for sharing all that great information. And
thank you, Marcia.
Thanks. And so next we will go to what we're referring to as our keynote speaker as the head of GIS Planning, Inc., and that is Anatolio Ubaldi. And several things about him and the company. GIS Planning provides economic development organizations and chambers of commerce and small utilities and small business assistance agencies and others with software to empower them to foster economic development and business growth in the communities that they serve. And Anatolio is an economic developer, entrepreneur, and patent holder, and CEO of GIS Planning, which is an an economic development internet company. And he also heads up the efforts of two of their products. One is ZoomProspector.com, an online site selection and business intelligence service, and SizeUp, a small business intelligence service. And his company's online strategies are currently being implemented by economic development organizations in 42 states, and they serve 13,000 cities, including the majority of the 100 largest cities in America. And his work has been featured in the Wall Street Journal, Business Week, Forbes, Fortune, and the New York Times, and he is co-author of the books Economic Development Online and Economic Development Marketing. He was named a fellow member of the International Economic Development Council for achieving exceptional stature in the field of economic development, and is also on the IEDC board. And for 5 years in a row, GIS Planning has made the Inc. 5000 list of fastest growing private companies in the United States. So we are absolutely delighted to have him with us, and with him also is Dr. Elisa Sklar, and she is Director of Marketing for GIS Planning, Inc., and is a recognized expert also in economic development, as well as communications, marketing, and social media. And she works directly with clients to develop and fine-tune marketing campaigns, and using the various tools towards that end, and to expand the reach of location brands in what is a highly competitive field of economic development. She is a well-known social media consultant for economic development agencies, and also a full-time faculty member at Concordia University's Department of Communication Studies, as well as a research consultant at McGill University, a blogger, and a multiple award-winning journalist. So we are thrilled to have them with us, and I'm going to go ahead and turn the, let's get you unmuted first for both of you, and then turn the screen over. And if you go ahead and show my screen, and if you have anything, I just saw your note about the poll. If you'd like us to try to do something with that, we still can, or if you've decided to move on without it, we can do that. We can also do verbally, if that's helpful, or have people enter into the chat area, or show a show of hands at the FIT site or the COCO site. So any feedback on that will be welcome. And welcome Natalia and Alicia.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're very glad to be here. I don't know if you're able to enter in those polls, but if not, we'll try and wing it as we go. Just as a technical issue, can you all see my screen, or is my screen visible?
Yes.
Perfect. So the first thing I wanted to figure out is a little bit about who is in the room, or virtually in the room for those who are online. And so the first thing I wanted to know is, who are you? Are you small business, large businesses, an entrepreneur considering starting a business? Are you an economic development SBDC chamber professional, or an elected official? Now, we originally had this as poll questions that you could click on your screen, but since that isn't available, I guess perhaps you can enter that into your dialog box, or for those who are in the actual classroom settings, you can kind of shout out who you are. Although I won't be able to hear you, although I may be able to see some questions.
Yeah, any feedback, if for those of you online, feel free to just text it in your question area. What category do you fall in? And then for our site hosts, feel free to unmute yourselves and share what the predominant mix of folks in your area is. And I can comment on that as well in knowing the registrants. All right, we're getting folks, small business, chamber professional, workforce development provider, workforce professional, small business, let's see, small business, economic development organization, nonprofit organization, small business, jewelry craftsman, workforce professional, small business, political.
There's a good diversity. It sounds like a lot of small businesses. Okay.
Yes.
The next thing, and I think in this case you're just going to have to remember how it is that you first prefer to get information. So ask yourself this question. How do you prefer to first research a product or service you're considering? Do you ask a friend for their opinion? Marcia, you know, I'm getting some feedback.
All righty, I can mute myself. I'm going to go ahead and mute Wanda at FIT, and Joan is muted. If you have something, if you can send the chat, and I'm going to mute myself except when I'm asking a question. And if you would like to, as our presenter is asking these questions, then go ahead and feel free to enter things in the chat area or the on-site folks flag for us that you would like to say something.
Perfect. Thanks so much. So do you ask a friend for their opinion? Do you research the product online? Do you call the vendor of the service? Do you visit the vendor's office or store? Or ask your network through social media? So just kind of remember what it is that's your behavior. Another issue, especially as I heard a lot of the people who are on this are small businesses, is kind of the difference between the small businesses competing with large business. I'd also like you to think about what your best advantage is over big companies. Are they things like the ability to adapt quickly, a lack of red tape, the ability to specialize, connections with your local community, customer service, or feeling a family? And what do you think are big companies' best advantage over you? Is it available capital, brand recognition, business intelligence, cost competitiveness, or greater human resources? So this is the content we'll cover today. First, we're going to discuss 3 trends, followed by tools to find the best location for your business, tools to help your business grow, and social media. So I'll start with trends to give this a little bit of context. So there are 3 trends that are important for you to follow. One is related to do-it-yourself, and this is more than just fixing your home. It's do-it-yourself for your business, the digital divide, and Moneyball. It's important to understand that in the business decision-making process, in the life cycle of how people make their consumption decisions or any big decisions, that 70% of the decision is made before they actually talk to the business. And one of the reasons for this, and this goes back to the question that I asked you earlier on, is that a lot of people don't contact businesses directly because they feel like they're going to get sold and they're going to get hassled. So, and think about this just within your own behavior. You probably oftentimes, when you're trying to make a decision about a product or service, you often go online. That's where you do your research. And this is going to continue to happen. This is happening to the point that many newer first-time small business purchases that related to human interaction, 58% now of purchases don't involve a human interaction at all. Data is everywhere. It's impacting everything that we do. Large businesses have been using it for a long time to make smart decisions. Now small businesses are getting into the area of analysis because it's helping them compete and discover insights that they didn't know about their own situation. For those of you who are small businesses, there's research and some experts who've talked about this issue. And so Intuit talks about how small business management will become less about gut instincts and more about analysis. And magazine points out that competitive intelligence is in fact even more important for small businesses because you feel the pain a lot more immediately. And Small Business Lab talks about how a growing body of research is showing a performance gap between small businesses that successfully use technology and those that don't. Now I know in this case I'm really preaching to the choir because you all are here participating in this conference and webinar because you care about technology and you're trying to find the solution. That is beneficial because that is going to be a competitive advantage for you because small businesses that use technology are more productive and profitable than companies that don't. When it comes to analytics, this is a growing area in which small and medium-sized businesses are using more and more. Literally within the next month, the majority of small businesses will use analytics to measure what's going on with their company and also what's going on outside of their company. You can't really respond. I don't know if any of you know who this is. If you do, I guess you can type it in. One hint is I'm in San Francisco and he works just a few miles from me. Another hint is this guy plays him in the movies. I'm going to check my dialog box to see the answers that are coming in. So it's Billy Beane. Now, Billy Beane was made famous through Michael Lewis's book, Moneyball. And that is analytical, evidence-based metric approach to assembling a competitive baseball team. Because the Oakland A's were really, they didn't have the budgets that some of the larger teams had. And so some of the main concepts of Moneyball is that a lot of the ways that people were measuring baseball in the last century were really quite flawed. They used a number of different ways of measuring that didn't make sense anymore. And that the A's were going to use a different way of measuring. And to compete with bigger organizations than them. So today, almost every professional athletic team uses some level of analytics and have analysts on board. But looking back at the way that they did that, that was actually small data. It was basically they used math, addition, subtraction, multiplication, not really, although innovative, it wasn't that complex. But what was innovative in the past is no longer today. I'm going to take a little bit of a risk, and I'm going to try and show a video, and I'll just show a portion of it to show you what Moneyball looks like today.
What's happened is in the last decade or so, we've just been able to collect lots and lots of data in places we've never been able to collect before. Now the question is, what do we do with all this data? Basketball is kind of a dance. There's always sort of moves and counter moves, pick and rolls and screens. The statistics we have right now are the best we can do as a function of the box score. This guy took a shot, that guy got a rebound. Now with this new optical tracking data, you get to see the game in a way that you can never see it before. So the question is, how do you translate that data into something that can help them win? Before, taking a long two-point shot was a bad idea because it helped.
So I'm not going to show the whole video, but the point is that everything's getting more sophisticated. People are figuring out how to win, not based on traditional X and O's, but by measuring everything, including which players match up, who to use in different scenarios. And this is going to be something that's pervasive in every part of our lives, not just sports, but especially our businesses. I don't know if you know who this is. This guy's name is Nate Silver. If you remember back into the 2012 election, there were all sorts of pundits saying who was going to be the next president, and everybody was an expert, and based on all of their personal experience, everybody had different opinions. But Nate Silver said no, he knew exactly, and he predicted it correctly in every single state. And he didn't do this based on his expertise as a political analyst, but as a statistician. So Big Data Moneyball is for more than just sports. It's for every industry, and it's for you if you want to win. I know some of the people who are on this call are also economic development professionals, but whether you're a company or an economic developer, those that succeed are those that embrace big data. And it's not just any data, but the most and best data. And the more data you have and use, the more you win. We're really at a time where the revenge of the nerds concept is coming true. These are the folks who are becoming the business experts, and hopefully through this webinar I'll show you some great tips so that you can be a little bit more nerdy. So one of the conversations that's happening amongst economic development professionals as they're talking to businesses is they're trying to show them some of the information. So a business may have to decide, where they're going to grow their company. And in some of the communities, they say, well, I have data that shows you we're a great location. But in others, they say, well, that's just one aspect. I'm going to show you the bigger picture of data. And what happens is that that data can be incredibly convincing. The other issue to understand, and this gets back to this issue of do-it-yourself and self-serve types of business processes, is that businesses like yours are doing their research. Corporate real estate professionals, site selection consultants, they're doing their research online before they ever talk to economic development organizations for assistance. This certainly gives these businesses an advantage as they know a lot of information before they speak with an economic development professional, but it certainly puts these economic developers at a disadvantage if they don't have the right information online. I'm going to show an example and switch screens. So this is a tool that will help any of you. So for example, if you are thinking about starting up a business in your area, or you're thinking about opening a second location somewhere in the state of Florida, this is a website that you can use. It's called Powering Florida, and I'll show you how it works. So let's say you're looking for a building of between 5,000 and 10,000 square feet of office space. You can add additional features. Say we want to look specifically within the county. What are some of those locations that match? Oops. Let me try this again. Buildings, 5,000 square feet. All right, so here's some properties that match where we're thinking about. Let's take a look at some of them. So we can see on a map some of the locations. We can also see some of the properties down below. So I'm going to select this one. And so here you can see some information about this property. We'll go back to my search results. We can take a look at some other properties. So you can see there's information here, and you can contact the people who have listed this to speed up your location process. But you can also do market research, and this is where a lot of the important data comes in. So I'm clicking on demographics because an important thing for every business is to figure out what is the quality of the people who are there. These may be the people that they hire, or the people that are their customers. You can see, for example, in the area there's a very large senior population in the area. You can see information by race. You can see household income distribution. There's a lot of affluent people in the area. You can see educational attainments. So it gives you a sense about the demographics of the area. For those of you who are in retail, we click on consumer spending, and now we can see what people are spending. So for example, the typical household within, this is 10 miles. Actually, let's change it. So let's change it to 35-minute drive time. So you see this entire area in red covers the 35 minutes. You can see that the typical household spends $889 each year on women's apparel. There are a variety of other categories that you can see depending on whatever retail space that you're in. Another important bit of information is related to the workforce. So here you can see information about industries by job count, because you may be hiring people in these areas. So you can see what the availability is and what wages are. There's even more detailed wage information that you can see here. So pretty much any category of type of employee that you're hiring, you can get information so you'll know if you're paying more or less than what is typical. Another important thing for you to figure out is who are the businesses nearby you, because they might be your competitors, or they may be suppliers or customers. I'm going to expand this report to, let's make it 3 miles. All of this information can be customized so that you can visualize it, because every business is different, and kind of the labor shed and the business competition that you may see may be different. So in this case, you can see all the businesses mapped and color-coded. So I can now see all of the businesses by a variety of different industries. So I've wanted to see all of the wholesalers who are nearby me in electrical apparatus. I can see who some of those are. Show you another example by modifying this report and say we want to know within, I don't know, 50 miles, businesses that have annual revenue of at least 5 million, and I'm specifically interested in, let's see, where are the architects and engineers' offices? Because perhaps these might be my customers. So now I can see visually in a way that, I didn't have to be a consultant or hire a consultant or spend money to do this research. I can see the areas where there's strong concentrations of architectural and engineering businesses. But you could do this based on, whatever businesses you sell to, or whatever businesses may be your competitors, and just customize all of this information for yourself. But in this case, you can see there are 86 businesses, 76 are engineering offices, and now I can see a list of all of those businesses. Another valuable thing that you can do, and I'm going to go back to the property report. You can actually look at some other locations. You can also, on this website, get additional local layers of information. So if you know that you need to be near a railroad, if you're the type of business where you actually have to access rail, you can turn that type of information on. So there's also geographic data that you can visualize. In this case, this business is not near rail, but you can see the location of it. So that's the first tool that I wanted to show. And this is a great tool if you're a new business and you're thinking about opening up in the county, or perhaps you're considering a second location to do your market research. I'm not going to spend time on this, but for those of you who are thinking about national expansion throughout the U.S., there's a tool called Zoom Prospector, which is also free, and you can plug in information about the type of community you're looking for, and it will give you matching results. Now let's move on to this issue of how you can use data to help grow your business. And oftentimes people don't know just how important both data and small businesses are. But governors to local officials are realizing that entrepreneurs are a top priority. And even though in the U.S. GDP, small businesses and big businesses contribute an equal amount, at the local level, the small businesses deliver more because there's money being recycled in the local economy. Research backs this up. If there's $100 spent in your local economy, there's a study that showed that the total impact of a local independent is $68, whereas a chain competitor, it's only $43. Another survey showed that secondary spending of a local independent was $45 compared to $14 for a big box chain. Now, there's many different surveys, but the point is that you can see consistently there's higher value at the local level from local businesses. Another important thing to know is that SMBs create the most new jobs. Now, this is the economic engine of the United States. And when you look back, now this is coming out of the previous recession, it was small and medium-sized businesses that created the new jobs, and large businesses lost jobs. The big business had 4 years of job losses, small businesses had 1 year of job losses, and then the smallest businesses had 0 years of job losses. Now this was, again, 2001, but as we look at the same data coming out of the most recent recession, again, it was small businesses that bounced back first. They created more total jobs and also net job creation. They also came back first. So I'm going to show you a tool that the Department of Commerce cited as the winner of best practice for business. And it included a number of technology and business luminaries. And here's the concept. Basically, we know that small businesses know how to run basically know their business. You know, they know how to make clothes, or they know how to fill cavities, or they know how to create furniture. When it comes time to grow their business and figure out a path to success, there's a lot of challenge for them. Large corporations, they've got a lot of money, so they can hire analysts and consultants or have internal people to do the research to find their path to their next big idea. But for small businesses, there's an economic barrier which prevents them from getting to this. So SizeUp is a tool that breaks through this so that small and medium-sized businesses can access the same business intelligence, but at no cost to them. And I will show you an example of that now. So let's say that you are a shoe store in Palm Bay, Florida. You can enter some information you would know off the top of your head about your business. So let's say your revenue is $567,890. You can see, let me make the numbers a little bit better. I don't make them 7. All right. So you can see in this case that your shoe store is not making quite as much money as a typical shoe store in the city, metro, state, and the United States. In fact, you rank in the 53rd percentile. Down below, you can see, and I should also explain. So basically what's happened is that SizeUp has super crunched millions of data points so that you can compare your shoe store against every shoe store in the rest of the country. And this map shows you the locations where shoe stores have the highest average business annual revenue. So you can see that that's in areas red around here, red here, yellow, less so. You also know what year you started. In this case, we'll say we opened in 2005. And here you can see the trend that more and more shoe stores are opening up. This is nationally at the state level. Maybe you're not interested at the state or national level, but you can still see there's an upward trend within your metropolitan area of shoe stores opening. How about for salary? Say you typically pay your employees $25,000 a year at your shoe store. Wow, you are quite a generous business because the typical shoe store pays only about $14,000. I'm going to adjust this just so all the numbers aren't so crazy later on. I'll at least reduce it down to $20,000. And you can see the areas where salaries are the highest within the area. So it's more affordable in Palm Bay than it is out in Fort Pierce. Let's say your business has 7 employees. Are you bigger or smaller than the typical shoe store? Well, in this case, you're very similar to the size of other shoe stores within the area. And there's another important to know is you may be a small business, but within your industry, you could be fairly big. You can also see information here related to cost effectiveness. This is similar to ROI, but it's a different way of measuring it based on your inputs and outputs. And you can also see some additional interesting information such as revenue per capita. In this case, since business is a retailer, you can see the places where, based on the population, there's very high revenue. And here you're seeing it at the local or neighborhood level. But as we zoom out, you can see it. I'm going to keep zooming out. Now you're seeing it at the county level, and you can even see this data nationally. So shoe stores is a pretty good bet in Florida. You can also see information such as local turnover, because you're going to have to replace some of your employees. And in the case of shoe stores, you're going to have to replace about 17% of your employees every year. This is something you need to factor into your business model and your expenses. Healthcare costs, let's say you spend $4,500 on each employee per year. This can tell you if you're spending more or less than the typical business in your similar industry and in your location, or workers' comp. So I'm going to click on Summary View, and you saw it took us only a few minutes to input this information, but very quickly we can get this summary dashboard that shows the health of your business. And you don't have to be sophisticated to benefit from this big data, because you can see whatever you're measuring, and this chart, this gauge, which shows green is better and red not so much. I'll show you another tool that you can use in Size Up. In this case, let's say that you are a beauty salon. We'll click on Competition. Let's figure out where our competitors are. Let's say for customers, we're going to target, I already entered this in, the hotels, motels, and resorts that are nearby. And our suppliers, let me enter this in just so you can see, OT supplies. All right, so we can see now the location visually of where our customers are and where our competitors are. Again, you don't have to use a consultant to do this. You can see it just by color code. Orange are competitors, green are customers. So if you're thinking about opening up another location in the area, you can take this into consideration. This area out here are some of the more affordable hotels, and if that's part of your market, you might consider locating there because there's no competitors. You can also map information. So in this case, I'm going to map personal care. And I'm going to say that our salon focuses primarily on females. So we can see where the areas are that there is more, that consumers have more money that they spend on personal care services for women. And I can visualize all of that just by clicking around and moving the map to see the strongest concentrations. I'll show you a third tool. Now, if you've got a great business or product or service, well, you've got to advertise. So let's say you're a dentist. Where should you advertise? Just knowing that you're in Palm Bay and you're a dentist, SizeUp can show you the locations where dentists make the most revenue. But this is just one way of measuring. Let's look at it a different way, because for advertising, you might want to serve the most underserved market. So areas where they're based on the population, there should be more spending, but there isn't. You see the map change. So these areas in red are places you might want to target with a direct mail campaign, or put up a billboard, or online advertising that's geographically based. You can also create other filters. So let's say that you think people are willing to travel a little bit farther to get to your business. or that you know that you're trying to target households with higher incomes, you can see now the map changes, and you can see the areas that you may want to target have changed. So there's a number of different filters that you can plug in. One thing to be aware of is that in some communities in Florida, they've actually taken this and they've customized it for their local area. This is an example in Lee County where they've added the additional ability to use these 3 services. This is in Florida, there are economic development organizations, chambers, and even libraries who've implemented additional data at the local level. And I'll show you one of those features. So I show you the first 3 in general, but this one is unique to the communities that have what's called Size Up LBI, or Local Business Intelligence. So they can get demographic information. In this case, let's say that they want to get information just around this area, which includes Fort Myers. They can get a demographic overview. So if this is their market area of either where their customers are or the places that they supply, they can visualize all of that. And they can turn on information. Oops. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of technical difficulty around this. But in any event, you can get additional information about this. Oops. Sorry. So, and the same goes for the tool that I showed you related to property search. Some of the communities around the area really want to make sure that all the business happens in their area. So they've developed tools like what I showed for the state of Florida that only show properties in their area because they want the economic development to happen in their communities. These are some examples. This is in Sarasota County. This is a library that is using this LBI information, and this is Lee County. And it's delivered some really great publicity for them to help their local businesses grow. So with that, I will turn it over to Elisa to talk about social media.
Well, that was very exciting.
I appreciate that. Let me make sure you guys can see my screen. And I will begin a presentation. What I'd like to do is build on what Anatolia was talking about in some of the presentations from earlier presenters here. I only have a little bit of time, so I'm not going to be able to give you a very in-depth look at social media. I figured I would focus instead on LinkedIn, because I know that when it comes to business, you want to be, when it comes to professional development specifically for business, it makes sense to fish where the fish are. And we know that they will be on LinkedIn. Just one quick note, I just wanted to point out that my introduction promoted me, unfortunately. I am no longer a faculty member. I have moved out of the university system and I work full-time for GIS Planning, so that is my past experience, and that's part of what I bring to the fore. I like to work with businesses and our economic development organizations and chambers of commerce to help them become successful. So it's a very different kind of teaching that I do these days. So let's get started. Let's talk about ways in which we can connect, engage, and promote using LinkedIn specifically. And it's important when we talk about social media broadly to understand that we can use it in different kinds of ways. Clearly for communication is one of the obvious ones, but for engagement as well. Social media tools are not just bullhorns. That's using new tools in the same way we used to use old ones like radio or television. We really want to engage with our prospects, with our clients, with our colleagues, with other people in the industry. And also it's a tool for actionable intelligence. And I'll just show you a few tips here as I get into it on ways in which you can use LinkedIn as a place to find important information about things that are either happening in your location or in your industry, or in the larger sphere that will have bearing on your business or on your organization. Now, a lot of the examples that I'm going to have here are primarily for EDOs and chambers of commerce, but they are certainly something that we can talk about for businesses as well. One of the things I really like about LinkedIn is the way in which it can turn your organization or company into something that is personalized. It isn't just a kind of monolithic entity from the outside, but it's really about people. And we want to make sure that these people have stories to tell, and we use LinkedIn as a platform for sharing those stories in ways that are useful to the business overall. It's also important to recognize who we have on LinkedIn. I mean, there are many useful social media networks that you can put into play for your business, but we know that if you're just going to focus your attention on one, for many of them, LinkedIn is a great place to start because the organization, the people who are on LinkedIn often are professionals and they're people who are quite serious. The average age is 44. The average income of a LinkedIn user is also quite high, and so that can be really important. Now, in terms of business pages, LinkedIn is not useful just for your own personal contact page, although that has its uses as well, but also as a place to showcase your company or organization. And the actual space that you take up online can be much larger than your bricks and mortar presence in the real world. So you can use LinkedIn and other social media platforms as a way to really get the word out there, even if you are in fact a small business that does not limit you in any kind of way. Now, one of the things that we like to say about LinkedIn is that it helps you establish thought leadership. It's a place for you to talk about your industry. And in posting updates, either on your own personal page or on your company page, you can curate the kinds of information that you want to have associated with your business and with yourself professionally. And you want to make sure that you're posting at least a couple of updates a week, because the search algorithm on LinkedIn takes into account the frequency of updates and the kinds of things that you're posting. So this is an example of an organizational LinkedIn page. This is the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. You can see at the top right-hand arrow, number of followers. It takes a little bit of time to build followers for your page. You can use other techniques from email blasts and Facebook and Twitter. You can use your blog, which I am a big proponent of blogging, in order to gain followers. And each of the people who follow your company page are going to see your updates. Now, the other important part about this page, of course, is the short description here that needs to be keyword optimized. Marcia spent a bit of time at the beginning today talking about SEO. This is a place where you want to make sure that you're choosing the right keywords to define your business or organization, and you put them over there, because that's going to be indexed by Google when people are searching for experts on this area. And in terms of engagement, this is an example of a variety of updates and the people who have followed them. Now, each of these people who follow or comment are then sharing that exact same update with their list of contacts. So it is kind of an exponential snowballing of the content that you're putting out there. And that's really what we want to see, both with prospects, with clients, and with other colleagues in the industry. As the administrator of your page, you'll be able to see some metrics related to what you're doing. So how many people saw an update, for example? That's phenomenal. If you're able to get over 3,000 impressions, that means you've got real kind of exposure to the things that you're trying to communicate. Clicks, so if you have a link in your update, then those are the people they followed through on it, and different kinds of interactions. So this is a way for you to just make sure you're keeping track of the effort that you're putting into this kind of work. Now, LinkedIn is also useful, of course, as a source of information, as a network of channels or valuable information on issues in your industry, in your field, or in your location that will have bearing on you. So reading other people's updates in your newsfeed is quite useful. We talked about establishing expertise online. Great example of doing that is to make sure you're participating in LinkedIn groups that are relevant to your field of specialization, or whether you're selling shoes or computer parts, or whether you're trying to stimulate business in your location. Groups are a great place to talk to other like-minded people, establish your own expertise, but also hear what it is that they have to say. In terms of furthering client relationships and customer management, you want to make sure that you follow and connect with the people who are your clients, who are your prospects, so that you are continuing to engage with them online. I always like to say that my LinkedIn contacts reflect my real-world contacts when it comes to professional work, so that every time you meet someone, whether it's at a conference or in a different capacity, that you connect with them online so that you can do that. Now, in terms of business development, it's really useful to use LinkedIn as a source of place to warm up contacts with new prospects. And there's a variety of different ways to do that. One, of course, is to use the groups themselves, as I spoke about at the beginning, and that's an important place to do that. You can also use introductions and referrals from existing clients. Use them as ambassadors for your organization. Now, some best practices here. Organizations should optimize their company profile pages. You can use the Google AdWords keywords tool. You could include information on both the Home and Services tabs on the profile page. You should make sure your employees have some clear, accessible social media policies, what is appropriate to post and what isn't. You should regularly share updates about your company or your organization and encourage your employees to further like, comment, or share those so that you, again, get that amplification impact by making sure that it snowballs out to their contacts as well. And encouraging employees, clients, and the people you meet to follow you online. Here's one example. If you look at the top of the Pinellas County Economic Development, the first page would have that short description that I showed you before about Wisconsin. But under the Services tab, you'll see that they list a variety of different services that they offer. Now, this is important because both of these two pages under these different tabs are both going to be indexed by Google, and that's really critical. It's additional ways that you could reach out to people with very high quality optimized information. And you can see the results of that here on this link, on this Google results page, that the LinkedIn page, actually it's down here on the bottom, is listed in that important first page of Google results. So you really want to use that as a tool to get out information about your company. Now, for yourself, it's useful to look on your own company page, but also on other company pages. You can see what people who viewed that page also viewed, and that's a way that you can actually keep track of what are the actual competitors or what are the sort of complementary services and areas that people are following you on. I spoke about Google AdWords. This tool is at a great place for you to go on and optimize the keywords that you're using on LinkedIn, on your blog, in all different kinds of outreach, certainly on your organizational website as well. You just need a Gmail or Google sign-in to do that, and it's really quite easy to follow and easy to do. Some other best practices or tips here that I would suggest are to keep your account information and all this information updated. So it basically ends up being a kind of online resume, if you will, or an online face for your company. You want to keep your tone professional. You want to make sure that your headshot is not something that you'd put on Facebook, but something that looks professional, and that you correctly cite your company name. I'll show you an example here. This is one of our colleagues at GIS Planning, and you want to make sure that the name of the company that all of your employees and yourself list is the same one that is used for the company page, because it will auto-create a link back to it, and then it will count this person in the analytics for that company. So we really do want to reach out to that. Now, I recognize that we're running a little short on time here. We're at the top of the hour. Marcia, I mean, I can wrap things up here or take some questions. Did you want me to, how are we doing on time?
Well, since we had the situation at the beginning, we can run a little bit over, and that's just fine. So take whatever time you need.
Super. Okay, I really just only have a little bit more, but I just want to make sure I respect our schedule here. Okay, now as I said, we want to consistently post updates, and we really want to make sure that we're choosing information of value for those kinds of updates. These will be things about breaking news, links that are of relevance, workshops or programs, a new product launch, a new catalog that you're putting out there, participation in a trade show. The more of these kind of high quality links that you could put out there, the better. Now, you'll also notice on this page, which is for a Chamber of Commerce, that they also have a group, and that Chamber group is an interesting place for all the local businesses and stakeholders within that community to engage with each other, to crowdsource or share information. So starting a group, and I'll show you a little bit more about that in a moment, is a really useful way also to continue to get the word out about your company, to participate and establish thought leadership as well. Now, in terms of the updates themselves, we know that updates are not forever. They remain on your profile for roughly 30 days. It depends just how prolific you are in writing and posting those updates. Now, they're only seen by people in one of two ways, either when they click on your personal profile or on your organizational profile, or in the news feed that many of you will be familiar with when you log into LinkedIn. Now, it's important to recognize that LinkedIn is a very different kind of place than perhaps Facebook or Instagram. We really want to make sure that this is a place to post content with professional relevance, from news items and awards to new catalogs or products, blog posts. It's a great place. If you've got a blog, you want to make sure you are using that blog everywhere you go. Leverage that content. Product shots, for example, is also extremely useful. I've worked in the past with a number of businesses, either business-to-business companies or business-to-consumer, and LinkedIn is a really interesting place to make sure that you're getting out the information about your product lines and communicating them using those kind of high-quality keywords. Now, if you have employees or people who work with you, you want to make sure that they are participating in liking, commenting, or sharing these updates because, again, that amplification piece is so critical with LinkedIn. All of their clients, well, their contacts will be able to see them as well. Now, in terms of actionable intelligence, LinkedIn isn't just a place for you to post information, but it's also a place for you to look what other people are having to say. And that's true about competitors, it's true about people in your supply chain, people in the industry, people in your location. So if you take a look here, this is an economic development agency. You can see a variety of kinds of information here. There's 3 different tabs at the top. One will have the description. The other will tell you about products and services. But the insights page will tell us which employees might be new, former employees that you might have some connection to because of the connections you've already got, where the employees working in this organization came from, so where their previous jobs were. You'll see the top skills and expertise that the employees in this particular company or organization are listing. And you'll also see, again, that glimpse of what other pages people who view this page are checking out. So that is really an interesting place to get some information and background about a company. Great place to do research. Now, in terms of prospecting or professional and business development, LinkedIn is a great place to search for people, both people who might be employees, people who may be colleagues, supply chain contacts, but also prospects. And so I encourage you to use the LinkedIn search tool as well as possible. Now, if you are a premium user, you get additional fields in the advanced search page, and you can see these here. So there's a variety of things. You can look for keywords, you can search right down to a postal code, you can look for titles, the schools they went to, you can see what industries they're in. Now, if you have a premium membership in LinkedIn, you'll also be able to see, specify what groups they might belong to, what seniority level they are, what kinds of things they're interested in, whether they're in Fortune 50, Fortune 100, company sizes, languages that they might speak. You can specify what kind of LinkedIn members you want to see. So really, you can turn up some really interesting results. And this is a kind of example of a results page that you might get. Now, the interesting thing about this results page is it tells us a variety of things. First of all, in this case, this person is a second-degree contact for me. And if I click on that, it will show me who I know who knows this person as well. And I can ask them to make an introduction to us, so that I can actually get in touch with her. There's a variety of things that we can learn about each of these people. It gives us the opportunity to connect with them, to send in-mails. In-mails are LinkedIn's version of email, but they have a much higher open rate than conventional emails. There's about a 63% open rate for cold in-mails. In other words, an in-mail from someone that they don't know versus someone who's just sending an email. So a great place for prospecting or looking for information about people. Now, the groups, as I said before, are great for networking, for gathering information, crowdsourcing. You can post polls or ask questions. You can establish your own expertise so people might come to you, identifying prospects, warm calling. I can tell you that having worked in social media for years, the most good quality leads I've ever gotten have come from LinkedIn. Twitter has its uses, Facebook has its uses as well, but when it comes to actual leads, LinkedIn is a really excellent source of that. And there's groups just about pretty much anything, and of course you can start your own group. The advantage of that is you can control some of the information that's happening there. If you want to start your own LinkedIn group, you get to engage others in your field or industry. You can talk about, see what people want to talk about, promote programs, campaigns, or outreach, crowdsource ideas, and build a kind of online community around a concept, idea, field, or industry, or even something that happens in your location. And it really is a phenomenal tool for connecting with people. in terms of your own businesses or organizations, some things that I would challenge you to think about are asking some kind of critical questions. How are you currently using LinkedIn for marketing, or whether you are at all? How you can use these tools for business development, and how you can engage others on LinkedIn for business development. I've tried to package a lot of information in a small period of time. There is much more to be said about LinkedIn and certainly about social media broadly, but I did want to make sure that we have some time for questions, both about these things and also about what Anatolio addressed in the other part of this presentation. So I will turn the microphone back to the group and see if anyone would like to ask us some questions.
Excellent. Yes, thank you so much. Both of your presentations were right on target and such very helpful information. We have someone online asking a question. Well, let me first mention for any of the on-site people, Joan or Beth or Wanda, if you can let us know of questions, if you want to ask them aloud or just, flag me on anything there. And then someone online is asking, is Google AdWords better than Word Tracker?
Well, I wouldn't say one is necessarily better than the other. Both tools have their utility. It depends if you are looking to do paid search, then certainly I would go to Google AdWords. But if you just want information about the kinds of searches that are being done and the amount of competition for them, then I think you're okay using either tool.
You mentioned the LinkedIn premium account, and you mentioned InMails. Is the InMails required in order to, is the premium account required in order to access the InMails?
That is an excellent question. I think you're allowed 1 or 2 InMails or a small number of InMails per month if you just have the freemium version of LinkedIn. The advantage of a premium account is that you get, depending on the level you choose, more InMail credits per month. Depending on where you go. Up 9 for some of them, 25 for some of them, and it's really a nice way to be able to connect with people that you would not otherwise be able to get their attention in other ways.
Someone writes, I'm currently using my LinkedIn account for politics and my business. Should I separate them into 2 accounts?
So if I understand the question correctly, if you want to keep one for personal and one for business, is that what the question was?
One for political involvement and one for business.
Right. Okay. Well, in this case, it's really the nature of your business, I suppose. If you feel that the political views that you are promoting or espousing or discussing on one might negatively affect or might have kind of unwelcome impact, then yes, I would probably suggest separating them. But recognize, of course, that the keywords, particularly your name, associated with both of them means both will turn up in any search results.
Yeah, another thing to consider is the difference between your personal LinkedIn profile and also the company page, right? So your organizational page.
Right.
I would separate those 2 things.
Yes.
And you mentioned, the opportunity to like, comment, or share. Does that have any bearing on your visibility, and in what way?
Yeah, that's a great question. It certainly does, because if someone likes, comments, or shares your update, your name or your organizational name, depending where the update came from, will be shared to all of their contacts. And you'll find that the more this happens, the more followers you will have for your organization and the more connection requests you'll have for yourself. So it's really about regularly putting out that high quality content and encouraging that kind of engagement.
And Anatolio, you mentioned the site selectors and doing research online before they come to an economic development professional, and how, how can EDCs and local governments get their information maximized so that they do get chosen for a contact rather than perhaps overlooked because the online representation of them wasn't complete or as appealing as it could be?
Yeah, so the old days where economic development professionals could just wait and assume that somebody's going to call them, those days are over. The reality is that today, businesses, corporate real estate professionals, site selection consultants, they're all doing their research online. So if communities are holding back on that information, they're going to get ignored, passed by.
Okay, excuse me, I apologize. We're getting noise from somewhere. I don't know if that is from one of the sites. The FIT site, I'm not able to mute you. If you could mute yourselves, thank you. And excuse us, please go ahead.
Sure. So basically what's important is now economic development organizations, cities, counties, they need to give the maximum amount of information so that they can make the shortcut of potential locations. This includes property information, demographic information, labor, the businesses that are nearby, by industry, and all of the geographic information. Essentially, if you can't make the case online why your community is a great location for business, there are other communities that are going to. I think that's basically is just to understand that the rules of the game have changed, and businesses are making smarter decisions. And this is important for communities, is to understand that it's better if the businesses convince themselves that your community is a good location, right? Then you're not selling, you're just educating.
Yes, and looking, I'm actually sitting in the office of a client that we run a small business development program for a local government, and that is so important to do your own assessment of your community and its assets, and then be sure that you really are informing others about all of those assets for new businesses and industry that you may wish to have come, and supporting the businesses that are there. Another question is, you spoke about poweringflorida.com. Is that a free service?
Yes, that's a free service of the utility in Florida called Florida Power and Light. This is an award-winning website that has just received great media attention and industry attention. It's one of the finest business location and site selection analysis websites in the country.
Excellent. And then you spoke of Size Up, which was very exciting to see all of the different possibilities and that come from that tool. I know that is not free, but it is certainly extremely powerful. And
actually, it is free.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. So anybody who's on this webinar or in the different facilities, you can go to sizeup.com and do almost all of the analysis that I showed you, and you can do it for free. However, the deeper demographic analysis about your local community, that's only available for businesses that are in the locations of the economic development organizations, libraries, and chambers of commerce, and SPDCs that have the Size Up LBI technology.
Okay.
And in Florida, there are some places, I actually have those slides up. Let's see if I can go back to show you some of those. For the deeper information, I'm just going to go way back. So that's places like Lee County, Pasco, and Sarasota County. So to get the deep demographic information like what I'm showing here, that's only available on their websites. And this is a way for them to help educate their local businesses so they can be more successful. And they do that by giving them additional information. But it's still free in these communities.
Okay, great. And we will take a couple of more questions and then allow the on-site folks, they've got to have enough time to get out to lunch and back for the 1:30 program. But someone has written in that Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest can be linked together regarding posts. Can LinkedIn be combined as well, or is it better to keep it separate when posting business-related information?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, there are different tools that will allow you to link all your social media or specific social media tools together, either within the tools themselves or by using another deck, like an outside deck as well, to do that. I like to keep very close control on the particular business-related postings, because it's unfortunate, and we see this all the time, if something that's a little bit more whimsical or lighthearted that's intended and appropriate for Facebook finds its way into another place. But that's just my personal style generally, is that I like to keep LinkedIn as a separate thing. But again, depending on the business and the organization you run, it is possible to connect them in any combination that you like.
You mentioned posting at least a couple of times per week in relation to the LinkedIn algorithms. Could you elaborate on that?
Sure. So LinkedIn uses search algorithms just like Google does or other search tools do, and we know that they take a variety of things into account. Now, that it's a little bit of a secret sauce, but generally one of the things that we do know for sure is that the frequency of updates does make a big difference in where you might turn up in the search results. Some of that is just organic, it's the way it actually works out, but we know that in addition to the search algorithm itself, posting regularly or semi-regularly makes it much more likely that someone at some point in the newsfeed will come across some of the things that you're doing. So it's an important way to build a follower base.
Okay, excellent. And on the screen, it's not showing your contact information. And if you could, if you have that, oh, very cute. Okay, there we go. Very good. Okay, so the contact information for their company and information on the products that they have talked about is on the screen now. And if you didn't hear the introduction of both of their background, you'll want to listen back through, because they're truly national leaders and thought leaders in the international world too, as far as economic development and the use of online tools to get really stellar results. So because of the lunch hour and folks needing to go and get back, we will go ahead and close out with that last question and extend our very sincere thanks to both of you for being here as presenters for this program. It was excellent.
Thank you.
So
thank you for inviting us to join in.
Well, thank you, and we'll be back in touch. And for folks who are at FIT, as well as COCO, thanks for being with us, and we look forward to seeing you after the lunch break, and we will have a very strong and interesting and informative workshop with GrowFL and the Florida Economic Gardening Institute. So thank you, and see you in a bit.